Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We are finally doing our Greece trip, which happens to be the worst trip we've ever been on. Yes, the worst trip ever. I am now remembering everything. I am now remembering everything and whew. Okay.
It was quite the adventure.
Where do we begin? Of course.
The beginning.
The beginning. Okay, so let's even talk about how it started. Like how we were, okay, so it was our anniversary trip and we were originally going to go to Napa. We calculated the trip to go to Napa and it was going to be like $4,000 to go to Napa with flights. And the biggest thing was flight and the Airbnb. Like that was the biggest cost.
Everything was a big cost.
And so we've been to Napa a lot of times. So the $4,000 cost didn't make sense. And so I was like, Chris, where else do you want to go for our anniversary? Meanwhile, y'all, it's 2 weeks before our anniversary and we still haven't planned it. And so you saw flights to Miami. Miami flights was $100. But to stay in Miami, it still ended up being super expensive. So it still ended up being $3,500. So $500 less than Napa. And so then did you see something? How did Greece come about?
A lot of people I know had went to Greece recently, and they were like, it wasn't that expensive. And you were like, all right, think about somewhere outside.
Yeah,
of the United
think
States.
of one international and one in the States, and so Greece.
Greece just kind of popped into my head because you always think about those white buildings with the blue roofs, over the water. So that's kind of how Greece popped into my head, not specifically Athens, but just Greece in general. Because I always said I wanted to go wherever that is. Because she was watching the Kardashians one day.
Oh, yeah.
And they all took a family vacation to Greece. Mm-hmm. And they were in these white buildings on the side of a mountain over the water, And I was like, wherever that is, I want to stay there.
Where we're going. So I priced Greece out, and Greece ended up being relatively cheap. We stayed there for 5 days, and it was $2,000 to go to Greece. So it's okay, we can make this happen. So we specifically picked Athens, and we literally booked the flight probably less than 2 weeks before our anniversary trip. And so it's now travel a day, and we get on a plane, and we've done this ton of research about food and how to survive a long flight, because the flight was going to be 13 hours. And so I'm researching all of this. So I'm packed, I'm ready, I have all of this stuff. And so we fly from Houston to Germany, and then we're going to go from Germany to Athens, Greece. So we're on the flight. Houston to Germany is 10 hours. So I have our snacks packed. We're doing exercises on the plane. I have all of this routine. So we're surviving. We get off the plane, and you have to go through customs to go through Germany, and then get on the plane again to go to Athens. And so Chris, it wasn't a long line. Chris goes through, and he goes in front of me, and then I'm okay, grab my backpack to pull out my passport. And I'm next, and I'm looking in my backpack, and then I stop, and I'm pulling everything out, and I don't have my passport. I left my passport on the plane, y'all. Chris already went through customs, right? He already went through, and I'm on the other side, and I was I don't have my passport. And so I'm telling the lady, the customs in Germany lady, I think I left my passport on the plane. And she's like, okay, everybody is just like, okay, just sit down. Like, don't just wait right here. And so she gets on the phone and she calls somebody and she hangs up. And like, that was it. I was like, we have a connecting flight. Like, can I go get my passport? And she's like, just
thinking about this.
she's like, just wait right here. And I was like, okay. 5 minutes goes by, 7 minutes goes by, and our layover is just an hour. So I'm like, okay, did you call them? Like, did you give an update? She was like, I called them. Somebody should be calling me back. She kept on saying, just wait, somebody should be calling me back. And so Chris is like, he walks through, and he was like, well, I'm about to just go walk to the plane and go get the passport.
What you have to realize is the gate that we came from was on the other side of the whole airport. It was far. It was so far. Like, if we were going to do something, we need to do it now, because it's going to take us forever to get there and come back. Like, the line at passport control wasn't long, but to get back to the plane was going to take a good little minute to get there, and then you still got to come back. So I'm like, look, you wasting time. Like, we sitting here waiting for somebody to call you back. We could have been on the way to the plane by now. And, like, you have no sense of urgency, and we do.
No sense of urgency. Like, so she yells at Chris, like, no, you need to stay on the other side because he's already went through. So he can't come back in. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and run to the gate to go get my passport. She tells me I cannot leave. Like, I can't, I'm on the other side, but she tells me I can't go to the gate. And so by then, Chris is like, no, we about to go get her passport. Like, it's something about to happen. And so she gets up and, like, shuts down, and she was like, follow me. And I was like, okay, something about to happen. Like, somebody called and spoke German. They got my passport, and we follow her, like, downstairs, and then this hallway, and then this hallway. And then the doors open, and it's just like a whole bunch of German police. And we have to sit in like a cell. So we were basically in German airport police, like, to have a seat right here. And I was like, Chris, are we in German jail? He's like, we in German jail.
And we definitely sit inside this little holding cell, that's for sure.
We were in a holding cell in the airport.
So then they're like, our colleagues are on the phone with the people at the gate. So they had us wait over while the officers stayed.
Yeah.
So they're getting on the phone with the airline, and I guess they finally get on the phone with somebody. And then they're like, okay, y'all come out here. And then they had me wait right back where I was before. And then they took Miracle.
They tell me, go to H7 and your passport is there. So by then we hadn't missed our connecting. So I am like running to go to H7. And so I get to these like doors, and it's like a complete stop sign. And they're like, where are you going? I was like, I need to go to H7 to get my passport. They're like, you can't go through here unless you have a passport. You see H7 right there? It's probably 10 feet away. I was like, somebody at H7 has my passport. Ma'am, you can't go through here unless you have a passport. I understand that. I am trying to get my passport so I can leave this place. And so they said, oh, just sit right there. I was like, if one more person tells me to sit right here. So again, a minute goes by, 2 minutes goes by, 5 minutes go by, and nobody's doing anything. So I'm like, hey, can somebody go to H7 to get my passport? Because I'm going to miss my connection. They said, don't worry about it. Just sit down. So finally, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to start crying so something can happen. So I'm like, I'm gonna look. But these were real tears. I was not acting. At that point, I was just like shaking. I was like, can somebody please go to H7 to get my passport? So they call somebody. I don't know what happened, but then the lady was like, ugh. So she walks to H7, And she's there talking, laughing. Then I see her walk back and nothing's in her hand. And I'm like, are you serious? And she was like, you have to go around to the other side to get your passport. So I go to the other side. I was like, hey, somebody age 7 has my passport. I'm just here to get it. Ma'am, you need a passport to get through here. I was like, I know I need a passport. I am trying to get that very thing. Like, please let me through. They're like, nope, you cannot go through unless you have a passport. And I was like, if I have to tell this story one more time, somebody at age 7 has my passport. Are you going to go get it? So then they call the police again. So I have to explain to them yet another time, somebody at age 7 has my passport. I am missing my connecting flight. Can you go get it? They send me around the corner one last time. I take a deep breath and I say, somebody at age 7 has my passport. I'm trying to get it. Ma'am, you can't come over here unless you have your passport. I know that. Please, just somebody go get my passport. So finally, another person comes, and I swear, they're like, are you Miracle? And I was like, I wanted to snatch that out of their hands so bad, but I'm like, I'm in another country. You already been to technically German jail already. Like, just calm down. And they're like, what's your birthday? I was like, can you give me my passport? So I finally get my passport. I have to run to meet Chris. We've missed our connecting by then. A long time. I think the second I'm trying to get to age 7, we officially missed our connecting. So that's like how our trip started. We have to get in line and explain to the people, we missed our connecting. Can we get on another flight? We were stuck in Germany for about 3 hours. Yeah. And then we got on the next flight and we got to Athens like around 7? It was like 7 or 8. Around. Okay, yeah. Basically, we lost that whole day. We were supposed to get to Athens around 1 and still be like good, but the day was gone.
But not good. Because where we stayed in Athens was pretty awesome.
Was popping. Where we stayed at in Athens was really nice.
Matter of fact, we got there early.
Yeah. So everything about at that first night we went to go eat. The food was really good. We were in like the downtown area, so it was there was nightlife happening. Our Airbnb was nice, really, really nice. Mm-hmm. And so that night we went to eat and we got some beer. Mm-hmm. And we came back. Oh, it was this one place that has this what did I get all the time? That chocolate.
Oh, the crepe.
The crepe. Oh, the crepe was so good. I thought the lady was burning it, but like that's just how they make it.
It was really like a corner store, but it was a cafe.
That's the best crepe and the best coffee there. Like that guy, he had the best coffee, and I tried coffee pretty much everywhere. But that little corner store had the best coffee. Mr. Panda. So the next day we go to museum.
Yeah.
We go to the Acropolis.
Yeah, the next day we went to the Acropolis.
Then we go to the Acropolis. We do our sightseeing. It was amazing. We ate. Where was that little shop place we ate at? They had the best Greek salad and lamb and pork chops.
That was in Acropolis.
Acropolis, yeah. Yeah,
that was like right in that little town center where they had all their shops and restaurants and stuff like that, like little town square kind of area. It was real nice, and we were looking around. It was beautiful. We just started kind of like everybody had a restaurant, but like had like a little small outdoor seating because it was still like just like a big street. It was like a big full street alleyway, and all of that. Full of shops and restaurants. So like you walk by and they have their menu on the outside. So we're just going by reading everybody's menu. People sitting outside, we're looking at their food on their plate. And we were like, let's try that place right there. And we So they had lamb chops on there. They had written lamb chops on the chalkboard outside in the front. So we're like, oh, they got lamb chops.
They got it. Let's go.
So,
and the thing about Athens is extremely affordable. Any other place is super high, but Athens, like that meal we got was probably like $30. And nothing was over like $30. For the both of us, we would have an appetizer, we would both get an entree, and I would always get like a champagne or something. Like it was always super affordable. And so after all of that, that was the night we go back and the electricity was off.
Yep.
So we go back. We've been out all day because it's our first full day in Athens. So we go back to our Airbnb and the lights are off. But it's just the place, like we were staying in an apartment. It was just our apartment. So Chris has enough juice to text the Airbnb person.
Yeah.
And you're like, we don't have no electricity.
Yeah, your phone was dead.
My phone was out of there. It had been gone dead.
And I had used your portable charger just to keep my phone alive while we were on the trip. I'm texting the Airbnb host, and like he calls me, and I'm like, hey man, like the lights are out. And he was like, well, is it the whole building? Or like, I'm like, no man, like we came up on the elevator.
Yeah.
We turned the light on in the hallway so we could unlock the door. Like the whole building has power. There's lights on the outside. It's just this one apartment. So he told me, excuse me, he told me where the fuse box was and stuff like that. I go over there. I'm flipping every fuse switch. Nothing. The main breaker, everything. And nothing is working. I'm like, nah, man, the lights are out. And this is a nice Airbnb. Like,
really nice.
I had posted a video of it. Like, it was nice. And I was so disappointed. I'm like, come on, man. Like, can you come up here or get somebody? Like, so he was like, okay, then hold on. I'll call you back or I'll text you back. And then he was like, man, got bad news. Like, the light company won't come out.
Because it's a weekend.
Yeah. Well, he was like, it's too late because at that time it was probably like 11 o'clock or whatever. So it's not like around here you call them and be like, hey, my lights out. Like, send somebody, send the truck. Like, you know.
Nope.
So, he was like, it's too late. I have to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we were like, so what are we going to do? Like, we need to charge our phone. Our phones are going to die. You won't be able to contact us. Like, we won't be able to, we have an itinerary. We're supposed to fly to Santorini the next day. So we're like, we have the flight to catch, all kind of stuff. Like, how are we going to manage all of that without at least having our phone? And so he was like, hold on, let me see what I can do. It was a little time goes by. Miracle chilling. She over here eating a crepe in the dark. Nutella and bananas. She over here.
I just
mad.
In shock. So
she
I'm just
mad.
like
and so I'm like, I'm just upset. I'm like, man, like we just had this great day and then like a snag like this. So he was like, all right, I got another Airbnb for y'all to stay at tonight so y'all can have power and stuff like that. So he gave us the address to that. And I mean, relatively, like, if we had a car, it wasn't that far, but it wasn't walking distance. So we had to go catch the train to get there. So we got to pack up a backpack.
In the dark.
And we got to pack
for
our
flight.
Trip. Yeah, a flight to stay. Yeah, spend
for our anniversary.
Oh
day.
My goodness. Because we couldn't just take all our luggage. We got to travel with this stuff. So, and we didn't plan on taking all of that in the first place.
Mm-mm.
So now we got to try to, in the dark, figure out what we're going to pack in these backpacks so that we can travel to this next town over, to
after we got off the train, Airbnb. It was a good walking distance.
Yeah, we had to walk a good 15
Y'all,
minutes.
this Airbnb, it's basically, we went from a 5-star Airbnb to like a 2. Like, it was like, the neighborhood was sketchy. The furniture, it was just like, I was so mad. And I was just like, I'm just going to go to sleep and wake up so we can leave this place. It was so bad. And so we go to sleep, wake up. What? Oh, that she's about to say something. So we go to sleep, wake up, and we go get on the train so we can go to Santorini. Santorini is like a 45-minute flight. That was probably the best, flight we had. Oh, it wasn't the best one because we got discriminated against. We had these was that the way there? We had the Euros, and they were like,
yeah, that was on the way there.
So we have their signature food. Like, if you are in Greece, everybody eats this. Like, that is what they pretty much eat 24/7.
Yeah.
So we get one, and we're eating on plane, and the stewardess is like, "Can y'all?" People are complaining about the way your food smells, and I was like, "This is y'all's food. Like, this is your signature dish." Like, we're like, oh, just put it up.
Man.
So we get to Santorini. Santorini is absolutely amazing. Yeah, the food was good. But Santorini is beautiful. We stay in this really, really nice apartment. And we've been in a different, we've slept in a different place every day. And not on purpose. But Santorini was so beautiful. Any recaps for you?
It was awesome. We had a really cool host.
Yeah.
When we first got there, we had to wait a little bit for them to get the room ready.
But we went to eat.
Yeah, exactly. We went to
good.
eat. He told us this place to go eat that was right there. Everything, of course, because it's a small little side of the island.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything was just boom, 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 walking distance. So we just hopped right over to the restaurant. Food was off the chain.
So good.
We ran into some people who went to UT.
Oh, yeah.
It was cool. It was really nice. The water and everything was beautiful.
Scenery.
Yeah.
So we had a really, really good anniversary. They had another little what was that little restaurant? I mean, not the restaurant, but the place where we got breakfast at a corner store. And they had really good food there too.
Yeah.
Coffee was not as good as the other place. So anyways, so we only stay there for a night. We get on the plane. We go. Oh, did you talk to him by then? Did you talk to the Airbnb guy from the first place?
Yeah, while we were there,
Yeah.
we were sitting out there
because
in the jacuzzi.
Our stuff is still at the first Airbnb, like our bags.
Yeah.
We just packed a bag and went to the second one and then came to Santorini.
Yeah, but we had the key, so
yeah. So Chris talks to the guy.
Yeah, I had texted him. I'm like, hey man, did you figure out the electricity situation? He's like, yeah man, bad news. I'm gonna have to refund y'all's whole money. They're not gonna be able to come out the whole week for the whole weekend. They're not open on the weekend.
They don't work.
They don't work on the weekend.
Nope.
What if your power goes out on the weekend? I bet you if one of these 40 clubs that's around here power went out, they'd be out here fixing it. I don't understand that. So, man, this apartment was off the chain. And it was an amazing price, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just like, man, well, we ain't got no choice. No power.
Yeah.
And we didn't want that to, we brushed that off because we were having a real good time. We didn't want that to bring us down, kill our vibe out there, and because the room was really nice. It was on the side of the cave, the white building with the blue roof, all of that.
The Kardashians.
Jacuzzi out there, private jacuzzi, all kind of stuff. It was real nice. We didn't want that to Netflix. But
don't take too much to please us.
Yeah. No,
So then we come back, but we have to, of course, find somewhere to stay because we have been kicked out of the first place. So Chris finds another Airbnb. So this is the fourth place that we have stayed in 4 nights.
Mm-hmm.
But this place was actually really, really nice. We went back to 5-star. So we were 5-star, 2-star, 5-star, 5-star. So this Airbnb, I really loved it. It was actually more space than the first one, and it wasn't that far. So I still was able to get my coffee from that place that I said that had the best coffee in that crate because I got another one.
Yeah, we were really only one block over.
Yeah, we were one block over. So it did turn out to be really good. And we went to the museum back in Athens. We were back to the more affordable prices because in Santorini, like things is a little more expensive. But back in Athens, you're like, okay, $20. This is what I'm used to. Yeah. But the museum we went to, it was amazing. I love that museum. Just seeing all the history and like paintings, and like you start to see different patterns because there was a lot of paintings about Saint John the Baptist, and like he had this like disheveled hair, and it would be different artists drawing him, and we'd be like, that's Saint John, because they all drew him the same way, even though it was different people, different time periods, all of that. You know, seeing depictions of Jesus and Moses, and it's like, see, Jesus is a black man.
Saint John,
all of these,
all of them, from all of these works of art, from all of these different time periods, from Greece, from the Middle East, from all over. They were black, like,
and I loved it.
Coarse hair,
yeah, they had dreads, coarse hair,
like,
and it was one painting. It was basically like depictions of all the stories in the Bible, and I was just like, oh my goodness. We stayed in there for a while. Like we both really enjoyed that museum. So this is like our last day. This is our last day. The next day we are traveling to go back home. So we already know that it takes about an hour to get on the shuttle and get to the airport. So we were like timing out. We're packed up the night before. We're ready. We ate breakfast. I got coffee for the last time before we go because the station is literally like across the street. So we got our bags, we cleaned up, we said our goodbyes to Athens, and we walk up to the station, and the lady is literally closing the station door to the entrance as we're walking up. And we're like, what are you doing?
She's like, where y'all going?
She's like, where y'all going? Like, to the airport. We already know the subway system. That's how we've been traveling. We're like, we're going to take the blue to the orange and go to the airport. She goes, they're on strike today. I was like, everybody on strike? They are on strike today. So I think I just bust out laughing.
Yeah, we looked at each other and just started laughing. We were like,
are you serious?
Of course y'all are.
The subway station is on strike. So we tried to hail a cab. We finally hailed a cab. And so we're like, okay, cool. We're going to make it in time for what?
Yeah, we weren't even stressed. We really gave ourselves 2 hours to get there. We knew it was going to take about an hour. Well, last time it took an hour because we had to wait 15 minutes for the train to even get there.
Yeah.
So we knew it was about we timed it. It was a 45-minute train ride to get to the airport. We gave ourselves 2 hours. The airport only has 2 terminals, so it doesn't take any time to go through.
In Athens, it's super small.
Yeah, it doesn't take any time to get through security, and we have all the global entry stuff anyway. So we weren't worried about any of that. We gave ourselves time. So when we had to hail the cab, we were like, fine, like, we're going to get there earlier now.
We'll still be
we're like 40, it's going to take us 30 minutes to get there now instead of 45 to an hour, you know? So we jump in the cab. A guy was just dropping off a fare, so he picked us up. So I was like, sir, like, how much is it to get to the airport? And he was like, it's going to be 40 euro. I'm like, okay, cool. No problem. We'll jump in there. We'll pay whatever, you know. But we had spent all of our cash the night before because we were just trying to get rid of it. So we didn't have anything left to go with us. So we had went to this little small bar that was right next door to where we were staying at. And then we went and got something to eat. So we spent the rest of our cash. So I told him, hey, like, we don't have any more cash, but I'll go to the ATM in the airport and pay you when you drop us off. He's like, fine. We jump in, takes off. He starts driving. He's like, hey, I gotta get gas. Like,
oh, I forgot about that.
We're like, okay, no problem. Like, we're chilling. She got her coffee. I got my fresh squeezed orange juice. We're chilling. So, we got time. Go ahead, sir. No problem. Go and get your gas. So it's full service gas. So we got the other guy pumping the gas for us. He talking, having a conversation with the
He
dude.
sure was. Oh,
and then he finally takes off after he gets gas. We're like, cool, we're still on the road. Let's move. Soon as the freeway's not even that far away.
Yeah.
We get on the freeway. And as soon as he makes that turn off the feeder to get on the ramp to the freeway, it looked like LA out there.
Yeah,
like,
standstill traffic.
It was a parking lot. So
no movement.
We looked and we were like, Google.
Yeah, traffic.
Google the airport. It said 1 hour and 2 minutes away. We were like, all right, we good. We got 1 hour and a half. We still good. This dude decides to sit in the slowest lane of the entire 6 lanes of traffic. He's sitting in the slowest lane. Lanes moving, everybody's in traffic. Yeah. But some lanes are moving, some aren't. Every now and then, you could think about hopping over into another lane just to get yourself moving a little bit. No, he's sitting in this one lane that ain't going nowhere. And we looked, it was because of a wreck. Yeah. So I guess they don't know what to do out there when it's a wreck on the freeway.
It's still, the subway systems aren't working, so everybody's on the road.
Everybody's driving, and it's smart cars, so it's a lot of cars out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
finally we get past the wreck, and we're moving.
Yeah.
We're moving. I'm like, okay, there's hope. We're going to make it. We're going to be real close.
But I looked down at my phone.
But we're going to make it.
And it says we're 25 minutes away. But we only got 15 minutes to get there at this point. So I'm like, sir, can you please just step on the gas? Get us there. I'll give you a little extra if you get us there on time, And so he's driving. And he starts driving regular freeway speed. I'm looking at his speedometer. He's going regular freeway speed. Next thing you know, we're slowing down, going slower.
We 10 minutes
I'm
away
looking
at
at
this
Miracle.
Point.
I'm like,
we slowing down significantly. We're going 20.
So I look at the driver and he's doing this, and I see him looking at his gauge in the road, and I'm like, his car's overheating. And then so he's coming off the gas to try to get the needle to go down on the temperature gauge on his car.
Because his car is
about to break down. So I'm like,
and we 10 minutes away.
What's going on? He's like, my car's overheating. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Now we're late.
At that point, I was like, we missed our flight. I started immediately looking at the next flights because I know we're just not going to make it. So we finally get there, and we, believe it or not, could have made it. But I get the bags. Chris is with him trying to find an ATM because we still got to pay him, right? So I'm running, trying to find, it's all the way at the end to get to United to check in. I go up to the lady and I'm like, we were going to Houston. Can we check our bags? Did we make it? We're probably 2 minutes late at this point. And there's another guy in front of me and he's on the phone and he just looks so pissed. And she's like, no, y'all didn't make it. And I'm like, what do you mean we didn't make it? And I know there's another flight. Our flight was at 11. There's another flight at 12:15 to go to Houston. And I was like, okay, can you put us on the 12:15 flight? The lady legit gets up, gets her purse, and walks off. So me and the other guy who were trying to both get to Houston, we're like, did she just leave? He's like, yes. So I go in the other line and I'm trying to tell the lady, hey, can you get us on the 12:15 flight? We missed the first one, but we're here for the 12:15 one. She calls somebody, again, wait right there. That's their favorite saying, and then gets off the phone and legit starts helping the people that are behind us. And it's 10 people behind us. So she helps all of them. by then we have missed the second time for the second plane. And Chris is still running around with the cab man trying to get the ATM because he has now upcharged us. It's not 40 euros. He wants more money now because apparently it was our fault that his car overheated.
He said we sat in all that traffic.
So it's
you
more.
You picked that route. I Googled it. You could have went a different way.
It was 2 different ways.
You picked that route. Then you talking about I had to get gas. You didn't have no gas. And I asked you before you got gas how much it was going to be.
Yeah, before you needed the
So
gas.
when I went to the ATM, I pulled that money out. I'm not finna pull out extra money. It had the exact option, 40 euros. I hit that. I got to get upcharged for the fee anyway. And then
I'm pulling money out of there.
I handed it to him. He talking about that's more. It's more. I'm like,
no.
What? Oh, I had to use the toll. You picked that route.
Oh yeah, we did have to go through the toll. Oh yeah.
It was that route.
It was terrible.
And then your car broke down.
And we
missed our flight. I said, you about to press me for a couple of euros? And you cost me 1,500?
Oh my goodness. So me and the other guy, and it was one other lady who both missed both flights. And they said, go to a different gate and wait for a representative. A representative never comes. We're on the phone with United. Chris is on the phone with United telling the story, but he's telling a lot of details. So I backdoor and I call United. And I had to use the card. I was like, look, we missed our flight. The lady legit got up and walked away while I was trying to get on the next flight, and we black. And so the guy on the phone is like typing away, and he finally because the other option was us staying another night and then leaving out at 3:00 the next day. But we got kids, we had to get back, all of that. But what we had to do to get home, we had to fly from Athens to Germany to Chicago to Houston. So we legit was traveling for 25 hours. Like all of that. From leaving Athens and finding out that the subway was on strike. It took us legit 25 hours to get home.
We got home at like 1 a.m.
1 in the morning.
We were supposed to get home at like 7 p.m., 6 p.m.
Yeah. Something very reasonable.
Yeah.
And so that is why this was the worst trip that we have ever had. And it's solely due to the travel. Anything outside of the travel, Greece was amazing. And I will gladly go back to Athens in a heartbeat. But the travel...
Not on that airline.
Not on United ever again. Oh, and I definitely tried to request a refund or some type of something, and they said no. They were like, no. So United, yeah, can't mess with United no more.
Oh, wow.
And anything that's dealing with travel and going to Greece, make sure you have all your I's crossed and your T's crossed and your I's dotted.
Sure.
Your I's dotted and your T's crossed. What's the saying? Yeah, one of those.
Don't freestyle an Asian trip.
Less than 2 weeks before.
The travel was bad, but we had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun.
Like, we freestyled that trip, and freestyling the trip made it really fun. Yeah. We were just like, whatever. But
even Santorini was freestyle. We were like, let's go. Okay.
We just did everything. We did everything at our own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the trip wasn't overwhelming. Like, we did what we had time to do. And then that was it. Like, we weren't worried about getting from one thing to the next unless it had something to do with food. Yeah. And other than that, we had a really good time. We saw what we saw. Like, we didn't put any pressure about having to see this, having to see that. We had things we had wanted to see and we were gonna go do. Mm-hmm. But like, if it was anything like extra or whatever, like, I wanted to go see the battleground
Yeah.
of the 300. We didn't make it out to that. I was not tripping at all.
Yeah.
Like, we did plenty out there, and what we did, we had fun. Like that museum we went to,
Yeah, that
was
was really
was worth not going there and hey, next time or something, you know.
Yeah, next time.
But we would have been outside anyway. Like, but
Yeah.
that museum was off the chain. Like everything we saw in there was really nice. So it was a really fun trip. The travel sucked, yeah.
Sucked.
But it was really cool, and like, yeah, we freestyled the trip. Maybe the freestyling part didn't help us for the travel.
Yeah.
And like we just had a string of bad luck.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like.
I mean, it started off.
Yeah, it was really a string of bad luck. It wasn't nothing even about, come on, like we knew they were going on strike at the train station.
Yeah.
You know? So we weren't really tripping. We kind of had a snag once a day, really, while we were up there. So
it was something.
It didn't put a chink in our armor. You know, we were good. We had a really fun time out there. You know, but the way the trip ended kind of put a sour taste in our mouth.
Yeah, that was
because that was the way back. But the trip was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like, go to Greece. It's awesome. It's beautiful out there.
Mm-hmm.
Athens is,
definitely go to that.
Athens is more of a city, an urban type vibe. But it was, especially where we were staying. We were staying in the club district. So everything out there was open till 5, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So if you want to have that kind of vibe, you can go out
there.
there.
But I mean, I would definitely stay at Athens and then go just fly to Santorini. Yeah. Maybe nothing more than 2 days, honestly, and then come on back to Athens. And I would have done that even in hindsight. I would have definitely done that. You don't need to stay at the islands more than 2 days. 1 day is actually good enough.
They have a whole lot of stuff for you to do in Athens. Food, tourism, a lot of, historical stuff, shops. So it's a lot to do in Athens. That's the Instagram stuff, Santorini.
I know. I didn't even bring a long dress, flowy dress to take the picture when I was in Santorini.
It ain't just a whole lot to do out there. You ain't going to the club. Like, it ain't, it's a whole lot more you can do, in Greece and Athens.
And Athens, yes. Yeah. Well, that is a recap of the worst trip ever. Thank you for watching.